Welcome to the Life Support Podcast with your hosts, Michele VanDusen and June Colson. A couple of clean comedians here to support each other and others through comedy's wacky and winding roads. They'll talk about highs and lows and some traumatizing shows. So get ready, get set, let's go!
All right, welcome to our third episode of Laugh Support, brought to you by the Hot Breath Network. So last couple of weeks, we talked about our introduction into comedy and how we got started. And this week, we're going to be talking about feelings of helplessness. But guess what? Today, I just want to say good morning, June. Of course, I don't know if you're listening to this. Were you taking a sip?
I was getting ready to take a sip. I thought you had more to say.
Well, I do have more to say. That's why we have a podcast.
That's true. This is true. Good morning, Michele VanDusen. How are you, friend?
I'm good. How are you doing? Anything exciting happen this week?
Oh, my goodness. Everything is exciting that happens this week. We've had flooding rains. We went from ice storm to snowstorm to my kid is out of school for 2 days for flooding rains, which he was supposed to go back to school every day starting on Monday. And the very first day that they were supposed to go back every day, school was canceled. So now he's, he's just up all night with his friends, and he was out lifting weights at, he's a member of one of those gyms that's open all night long. Right. So he plays basketball. Then after his basketball game, then he meets up with his lifting buddy and they go and they lift weights. And then he comes home like literally just hyped up. Right. And usually he cooks chicken at like midnight. And then like 3:30 this morning, he had 4 friends over. And like upstairs, he has a big bonus room and all of that stuff. So we really don't hear them much. They just hang out and play video games and ping pong and basketball. But 3:30 this morning, I wake up and this like 6'3" muscly teenager in a hoodie is leaned over my bed going, "Mom, yo, mom." And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Think me and the guys are just going to go walk around the neighborhood a little bit." I'm like,
what?
Yeah, that's what you need to do in a subdivision when everyone has Ring doorbells. Like, no, you're not going to walk around. What? We ain't going to do nothing. We think we're going to do something. And I was like, no, I know you're not going to do anything, but the people in our neighborhood doesn't. 4 teenagers in hoodies walking around at 3:30 in the morning because they're bored. Nothing good can come from that. So now I'm having an argument with a 17-year-old at 3:30 in the morning. So I just feel like I'm wired right now because I'm exhausted. Kids are exhausting. Did your kids ever do the crazy stuff like that?
I don't know. I slept right through it if they did, and they haven't told me. So I'm going to go with yes, maybe.
Maybe. See, I never sleep.
Now my kid they have walked into our room and they've just stand there staring at us while we're sleeping. Like, and I'm like, "What do you want?" Nothing. Like, that's weird to me. But yeah, or that was a dream. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way.
I never did that to my mom. So my parents are Hot Dog and Mo, and Mo would have come up swinging. Like she would have come up. If I was leaning over her, she wouldn't have asked questions. She would have said, "Junebug, why are you here?" She would have just straight up come up swinging. Like, especially the neighborhoods we lived in. If you had somebody leaning over you, it was, fight or flight, and she's going to fight. So yeah, I never woke my mom up at 3:00 in the morning ever.
Yeah. And I know that some people, like, they keep a gun by the side of their bed or under the pillow or things like that. You never know.
Yeah.
So
This is Kentucky, girl. I know those people.
Yeah. Well, we live in a neighborhood that's well, before you even come in, there's a sign that says that we're a concealed carry neighborhood. So you don't know which neighbor. You don't know.
No.
Well, I kind of do, but you don't really know who and who doesn't.
But yeah, that was my morning. So
yeah,
so there we are.
So it sounded actually kind of like a helpless situation if you're sleeping and
a little bit
a hooded teenager standing over your bed. In comedy, well, you could probably turn this into a comedy bit now, but
yes.
Has there ever been a moment that you felt like helpless, like I'm stuck kind of a thing? Like, what do you do?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Doesn't comedy have a lot of those moments? especially like early on, very in the beginning, my beginning into comedy is different, I think, than a lot of people. Like, I didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to be a comedian and this is what I'm going to do. For me, comedy is an avenue, for ministry. So it literally was a moment where God kind of said, this is a place where you can go and you can meet people and get in places. And not necessarily, like, I don't do comedy with a Bible on my hip. Like, I don't, and I don't even do church jokes. I mean, some Christian comedians, a lot of their material is about the Christian culture. And that's cool, because their audience definitely gets that they're doing jokes about a culture they understand. And, when people can relate to your material, they obviously enjoy your material. But for me, like I said, I got a daddy named Hot Dog and a mom named Mo, and I grew up in government housing and rundown trailers and, whatever. And I'm like, I don't know that, the Christian audiences are who you want me to be giving my stories to. Like, how am I going to do this? So very early on, I was like, okay, God, if you want me to do this, how do I do this? I live in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I'm an hour and a half from Louisville, Kentucky, Louisville. Yeah, a lot of people call it different things, but I'm an hour from Nashville. There's no club in my town. There's no comedy scene in Bowling Green. There was no one, here or open mics that were happening that I could just go observe and see what was going on. So that felt really helpless, right?
So you were like in the middle of nowhere, and God's like, June, do comedy. And you're like,
Yes.
help me. I have no idea what to do. So sounds like you're kind of like David out there, watching the sheep, where you're just all by yourself, picking up your sling and throwing it at, throwing rocks around. So what did you do?
Yeah, I was David with the sheep. Okay. Again, I don't do church material, but I do know who that dude was. And I kind of remember he was hanging out like before he became the guy who killed Goliath. Like, that was his deal. He was a shepherd. He was a little dude, like, out in the field.
Yeah, like the youngest kid. The youngest kid. Hey, go take care of the animals.
Yeah.
Pet
So
center.
I kind of did feel like, I guess, a David. I'm the middle child, but I did feel kind of alone out here. Like, I'm writing some stuff, but for who and for what and where do I even go? And yeah, there wasn't really a June. Like, that's not how God spoke to me.
He doesn't talk like that.
There was
June, my daughter, June bug, buggy June. This is the Lord. No, he doesn't talk like that.
He said, "Thou shalt do comedy." Like, the clouds parted. I got shocked with lightning. Like, no, there was
You are so funny to me.
no, he actually kind of whispered it to me, because that's,
June,
there,
June, wake up, June. I'm gonna go walk around the neighborhood. Like
oh,
that.
wait, it wasn't even God, it was my kid. Oh man. Been on the wrong path this whole time. What? It definitely wasn't my kid, because he's like, what? Why are you, Mom? No. Don't.
Oh, so the first benefit was to make your child feel helpless. I love this story. Okay,
Yeah.
so God's whispering to you. Like, how did he do that?
It was actually a moment in church. I was sitting in church, and I had always felt like there was something, like, I wanted to be involved in a ministry. I wanted to have an opportunity to talk to people that were maybe similar to me in my path, because I spent a lot of time rejecting Christians, rejecting Christ, rejecting the church, those kind of things. And always feeling like Christians were judgmental people. And so, I felt like I found my way to God without having that concern about judging Christians. And then kind of figuring out that I actually was doing that myself to Christians.
Like,
And
you
not
were judging Christians
Oh,
about them
absolutely.
being judgmental.
Yes, exactly. And that's
Yeah.
how
Well,
God talked to me.
some are very judgmental.
Yes. And
And I'm
so
gonna
are
just judge you right now. I can't believe you did that. Okay, no.
right. And so are people who are not Christians. Like,
Yeah.
they're really judgmental people too, right? But like I had this whole argument with God about how judgy the Christians were and how I wasn't hanging out with Christians because they thought they were better than everybody else and they judge people and they look down on people. And literally God was just like it, and he, if you're not a Christian or you've never had a moment like this, we do sound like weirdos. I am a weirdo for one, yes. But these moments, unless you have that relationship, it's almost like, how like if you're in the house and there's no noise, but somebody else is in the house,
Mm-hmm.
you feel like the person's presence that are in the house. Like I have that a lot with God. Like he's just there. I just know he's there, and he's always spoke to me like in humor and sarcasm, which is a language I understand. Like I don't speak Japanese or Chinese or Germanese or, that's
I
that's
do.
not a language. You speak
I like
Germany?
egg rolls. No, just Chinese. I
No.
like egg rolls. I like wonton soup.
Nope,
Uh,
I don't think that counts, Michelle. That doesn't
oh,
count.
well, I speak in food. That's
Yeah,
my
now I
love
do speak
language.
food fluently. But
Yeah.
yeah, so he basically was like, it's comedy. Like that's how I am not a builder, I'm not a carpenter, I'm horrible at quoting Bible verses. And so I was comparing the things that other people did to just reach out and kind of be a light.
Mm.
And like I said, I don't do comedy with the Bible on my hip. I don't do yeah, really a whole lot of church material. I tried one joke in our writers group one time. That was a Bible verse joke and it bombed. It didn't go well. So, I don't know. But what I did was I went, okay, who is doing this kind of comedy? Right? And God's like, I don't know, maybe Google it. Because he gives you tools. You didn't know God Googled, did you, Michelle?
No, I didn't realize he used Google. So God's a Googler,
He's a Googler.
and I think that's great.
Yeah, yeah. He said, Google it, June. And I did. And I found an association, the Christian Comedy Association. And I found their Facebook page and I kind of just typed up, like, here's what's going on with me. I know it sounds crazy. Um, and then right away, there was a comedian named Peppy Garrett. I don't know if you know Peppy.
I love Peppy Garrett. She is such a delight, such a joy.
Yes.
Yeah, once you meet her, you've met her.
Yeah, is that right? Well, I've never met her, but
Oh, you
here,
haven't?
no, I've never met her. She
Oh,
saw she saw what I had written on their Facebook page or whatever, and she called me and she was like, "Girl, I totally understand what you're going through." First, she was like, I really don't have time to call you, but I'm going to send you a video of my testimony and all this stuff." And I was like, "Oh, okay, thanks." And then a few minutes later, she's like, "Okay, I just have to call you. I just have to talk to you." Because my story resonated with her, right? So she calls me, she reaches out to me, and we end up talking for like an hour and a half on the front porch. And she was like, "There's a conference every summer. You have to go to this conference. You're going to meet some people that are like you, that are really supportive and kind. And it's just an experience you need to have right now." And so she talked me into looking up the conference. And at first I was like, well, I'm sure it's too far away, right? And it was actually in Nashville.
oh, that's like down the street from you.
Yes, it's an hour from my house. And then I was like, oh, I'm sure it's too expensive, and then it wasn't. It wasn't very expensive at all. But then I'm also somebody who never spends money on myself. And I don't,
Mm.
like I struggle with, spending more than $20 on a shirt. Right. And I'm like, oh, but still I'd have to spend money. And then, I look at the calendar and realize it's my birthday. It literally was my birthday, like the weekend of my birthday.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday.
Thanks so much.
When is your birthday?
When do you think my birthday is, Michelle VanDusen?
It's obviously in the summer because I know that's when the conference is.
Yes.
Uh, so I don't know. June, July, June.
It's in
Is it
June,
in June?
Michelle. Come on. You
Isn't
really
it
didn't know
June?
my
Is it June?
it is June. I get asked that a lot. People are always
What?
like, were you
Are
born?
you kidding? So not only are you named June because you were born in June?
Well, but here's the deal. Okay, so I was supposed to be born in May. I was due in May. My name is June Marie May. And I was supposed
Wow.
to be born in May, and I showed up late. I was born June 7th. I'm late for everything. You noticed that this morning, didn't you? And so my mom just switched it. I went from May Marie June, and my name is June Marie May. I have two middle names. Like Marie May is not one word. It's June Marie May. And then when I got married, I changed. I just did Vaughn for my middle name, so that I didn't have like June Marie May Colson. I just thought, well, I'll simplify it. I'll take my maiden name, and then and then my little one, when Trey was little, he would tell people, "This is my mom. Her name is June Marie May Bug Von Colson." Like that was my name.
Bug Von.
Yes, because I had June bug. But listen, we just signed on the home loan for the house we're in right now, and they slide this paper over to you that has your aliases on it, right? And my husband was like JL or whatever. Like it had his different
Like one or two.
There was like maybe 3 at the most. And then there was like a whole page of, I was June Colson, June Von Colson. I was June Marie May Colson, June Marie Colson, like, I was like, dang, I would investigate me if I was the FBI. I would be looking into why this chick has 47 names on this. Anyway.
So is it just as easy for your sister October? How does she handle things?
She's Bobby Joe. And so Ava, Mo, my mama Mo, will tell you it's Bobbi, not Y. And she'll say Y is a boy's name, which is not. No, it's not. Like a J-O with no E. There's no E's in Bobby Joe. Like this is such a serious hot button issue with my mom.
Does she know when her birthday is though? That's the question. Like your birthday obviously now is in June.
It's June.
So
yeah.
Bobby Joe doesn't have a birthday. That's just sad.
Bobby Joe, I always say she was born in January and I was born on the warmest day of the year and my sister was born on the coldest day of the year. That's my girl. That's my girl. But anyway, how did we get on my name and my birthday? What were we talking about?
Oh, we were talking about feeling helpless and how you were finding your people in comedy.
So I found Peppy. She calls me. She says, go to this thing. It's on my birthday weekend. And I meet up with people who are doing like the type of comedy that that I feel like I'm supposed to be doing. But I also got to see that they're doing it in so many different ways. There were so many different avenues from, people who were doing music and people who did improv and people who did the one-liner, straight up comedy. There were people who used puppets. Like there's a little bit of everything. And there were some people who were like inspirational speakers, but they were, they used comedy in what they were doing. So it was really cool to kind of look and go, oh, wow, and they were all just really supportive of each other and very welcoming to me. It was cool. So feeling helpless, the first thing was like, how do I do this? And who are the people doing it? And then I found some people right down the road. Right. So then the next thing was realizing, okay, I need to write. I've got to learn how to write this stuff and I needed to do it quick. I'm not a 20-something-year-old single girl who is starting this path and I have 15 to 20 years to figure this out. Because everybody's like, oh, it'll take you 7 to 10 years to, get your first 5 minutes or whatever. I mean, not really that, but I knew like I need to expedite this process. So I've got to find people and learn from people fast. Right.
So did you take any classes?
I did. I actually, and it's funny because you find out like in comedy, people have this, there are people who have very strong opinions about certain things in comedy. Mm-hmm. And comedians can really, it doesn't matter if you're a Christian comedian or not a Christian comedian. They spend a lot of time criticizing each other sometimes and how you do things and very strong opinions about like, you can't teach comedy. You can't, but I had, K. Dodd, who's a Christian comedian. Yeah. All the books, but yeah, these people are like, you can't teach comedy. And then they're like, hey, have you bought the recent book by so-and-so? Like, that's exactly what you're buying. Yes. I have that one too. I have that book too. I haven't read it, but yeah, so I started taking classes. I did. Are those your 2 favorites? Is that what you're showing me?
No, it's just the 2 that I could reach at the moment.
Yes. I have that comedy writing secrets that you have somebody sent to me.
It's very, very good. In fact, one year at the CCA, they gave this copy away. So that's how I got my first copy of this.
Yeah. I think John Peters actually sent me his copy of it. Who is one of the sweetest people I've ever met in my life. but yeah, so I heard a really great comedian, Kay Dodd, who
I love K Dodd. Just wanted to put that out there. Kay, we love you.
we do love you, Kay Dodd. And she does a whole thing about like clean comedy. And especially as Christians, if we're doing clean comedy, it has a little bit different vibe to it than like club clean, some of the, and she was just phenomenal. But one of the things I heard her say about learning comedy and writing comedy was that, if I felt like I wanted to be a doctor, or God called me into being a doctor, the last thing I need to do is pick up a scalpel and start cutting people.
Yeah.
That it's good to learn your craft, learn as much as you can about it. And we learn very quickly watching comedians, clean, non-clean, that there's formulas, there's reasons why things are funny, right? There's a reason why people, what did I say wrong, Michelle?
Watching comedians clean, non-clean.
Watching them cleaning like with a mop and a dustpan. I'm watching
yeah, there's some really dirty comedians out there. They throw their trash all over the floor. And then there's some really clean ones that pick up all the trash.
But yes,
it's just watching funny comedians, because you have bad comedians that they don't understand the structure, I think is where you were going with, how to write a joke and stuff. I think that's really wise advice that Kay gave you. Like, that's brilliant. I didn't get that information when I first started out. So I've struggled a whole lot more than you have. So I love this. Keep telling us what else did she say? What else? What other tips of the trade here? So study your craft.
Yeah, study your craft. Take some classes if you can. Learn from somebody who's done it, because that does cut the learning curve. I didn't have to. I didn't know about word economy. I'm a storyteller. I'm Junebug. My mom would call me big mouth, motor mouth, blabbermouth, smart mouth, chatty Cathy, chatterbox, jibber jabber, jabber jaws, lizard lips, lightning lips. Like, I don't have word economy. That's not what I do. But then I learned that in comedy, you need to have some word economy, economy or whatever. And so I started taking classes, being close to Nashville. Rick Roberts, the School of Laughs, he, offered classes there, and a wealth of information, right? I was able to learn all kinds of things from him about word economy, about alliterations and the power of threes, and, all of these elements that just made things sharper and cleaner, and like, oh, that's why people laugh at that. Oh, taking a left turn, or, surprising people with the punchlines and those kind of things. And so I think that helped cut the learning curve quite a bit for me. I was able to start writing some material really quick. And then I had some momentum, going. I felt like, I was really starting to get some shows and do some things. And then with COVID, everything shut down.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to do that. But then our friend Joel Byers, who was the inspiration for this podcast. So if people don't like it, it's Joel's fault. Just go ahead
Joel
and email
Byers.
him.
Write all the letters. Send your letters and complaints to Joel Byers at Hot Breath. No, I don't know his email.
No, I don't know his email either. He won't give us his email. He's like, no, this is not going to happen, ladies. But he started this thing called Write 10, and it helped me with word economy, because you would write a joke, you would get a word,
10 minutes,
the word of the day, and you would have 10 minutes to write a joke on that word. Then he would read the word and comment, or read your joke and comment about that joke, but in an extremely positive environment. Just positive feedback. And then people would kind of offer tags to your joke. And, in 10 minutes, you're not writing comedy magic, right? But
no.
what I found is I've kept all these jokes that I wrote, and they became premises. They became things that I was like, ooh, yeah, because I always try to write very personal. So I don't do political stuff. Like, if I'm writing a joke, I'm writing a joke about my kids, my husband, Mo and Hot Dog, my parents, something that's true to my life. Because that's one thing that I learned early on, is if someone now went to a club, especially, the people who know me now and know about Mo and Hot Dog, if someone tried to do my material somewhere else and they're like, my name is Junebug and I grew up in a house trailer and my dad is a hot dog and he blew his face off with fireworks, and people are gonna be like, wait, I think, isn't that a girl in Kentucky who does that material? It'd be a little more difficult. Maybe they could steal a one-liner, maybe. Not that people are out there trying to get more stuff because it's so magical. Okay. But that was
I like doing all your jokes, especially about how tall you are.
Yes,
it goes off so well when I do it. So, I'm like, hey, I'm a 7-foot blonde tall girl from Kentucky. They're like,
7 foot. Okay, you're 4 foot nothing, and I'm 7 foot tall. We're going to be in Ripley's. They're going to be like in the museum beside each other. The world's smallest comedian and tallest comedian.
Hey. Okay, so it sounds like you went from a helpless situation where then you started seeking out who could actually help you and where you could find your help. And so you found that in the Right 10 group, which is really a great group to be a part of.
Yes.
And you also got comedy lessons from Rick Roberts, like you went and took his classes. And then Kay Dodd's advice to you was, study it, figure it out, and then of course you got your book that you're reading, and you went to the Comedy Association, you went to the conference. And so you actually went from a helpless situation to very hopeful and very well prepared. And I know that your career was, you're moving along. I want to hear about your first paid gig. However, we're at like 26 minutes in. So
word economy? Are you saying
word economy? So do you think that our next episode, you could tell us about your first paid gig and some of those kind of exciting things along that journey?
I could, Michelle, if you, if you ask really sweetly. I feel like, I could do word economy, but the first paid gig is such an interesting story. I'm going to need a little time. We'll just say this. There was a teenager. There was a one-eyed lady. There was a missing comic. There's so many elements we need to dig into.
So we will cover all those elements in our next episode 4. So let's say good night for this one. I started with good morning, and now we're going to go with a good night.
Who knows when they're listening to this? So either it's covered both bases.
It's going to take them all day anyway. It's only 20 minutes, right? 25 minutes, but all day listening.
There it is.
So thanks for tuning in this week, and we will catch you next week when June tells us about her first paid gig. I'm Michele VanDusen.
And I'm June Colson, and you guys know Jesus and Junebug loves you. And Michele, come on, do it for me. One time.
Thanks Michele. For listening to Laugh Support.
No, Lil Michele and the Messiah tell you to take it higher. One time. Do it for me one time.
No, not going to do it.
All right. This has been Laugh Support. Thanks for tuning in with us.
Bye.
Bye.